Hello, everyone, and welcome to the OCNJ Local, your podcast for everything happening here in America's greatest family resort. We're your hosts, Dominick Dougherty and Drew Fasy.
And we are your local guys.
And had to get that point there a little bit better, let people know who the good-looking smart guy is. You know, I wouldn't want them to think that you're me. That would be bad.
That would be bad.
Yeah, that would be for both of us.
Hey, Dom, I told you I didn't have any shout outs, but I do.
Oh, of course you do.
Quick.
Okay. Keep it quick.
So shout out
to big fish on the line here.
Yes, we do. Shout out to the Ocean City High School girls cross country team for winning the Cal championship. And a quick shout out to the Ocean City High School football team for winning a playoff game against Allentown, New Jersey, 42-34 at home. So
yes, this is the 8th consecutive year that the Ocean City High School team has made the state playoffs, which is pretty impressive. So
that is impressive.
Shout out to Coach Smith and Coach Matthews and all the other coaches there that dedicate their time and effort to really put together a great program for the kids at that high school.
Yep.
So and
that's it. That's all I had.
That's all you have? All right. Well, listen, we're gonna get right down to business today because this is a very, 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 very important issue facing not just Ocean City, all of Cape May County, all of the coastal communities, even cities like Newark, Camden, anyone that really has a waterway in their vicinity.
And inland. It affects the inland communities.
It's a staggering amount. I think it's something like, I want to say 48% or more of Cape May County will be affected by Executive Order 100. Truth be told, we're recording on a Sunday morning at 10 a.m. It's daylight savings, so it's really like 11, but who knows? My kid Ben woke up this morning at 6:45. I'm like, go back to bed, dude. It's not even 7 o'clock. He's like, no, Dad, my clock says it's 8 o'clock. I'm like, oh, you got to set your clocks back. Remember when you actually had to set the clock back? Now your phone just does it for you. Those were the tough days. But anyway, we getting dark at 5:30, so enjoy it while it lasts, people. But anyway, joining us today to discuss something bigger than daylight savings, like I said, Executive Order 100. If you haven't heard about it, you're going to get a crash course in it right now, is Assemblyman Antwan McClellan. He is I would say, the most knowledgeable state assemblyman on the order and how it's going to affect Cape May County. So we'll be right back. We're going to bring him in, and we will get down to business here on a Sunday morning. All right, and we are back. Joining us is the esteemed Assemblyman Antwan McClellan, here to discuss with us Executive Order 100. Executive Order 100 came about in the year 2020. This is an executive order, not a piece of legislation, which means that the governor himself put pen to paper and signed this in as potential law here for the state. One of the big things that in watching and researching this after learning about it, because it is a huge issue, and one of the things that I think really upsets Assemblyman McClellan and the other legislators here in the state is that they've had no say in this whatsoever up until about the past 30 days, or should I say 60 days when it came up to public comment. So, I'm just a layman here in this. I'll turn it over to you, Assemblyman McClellan. Again, thank you for joining us, and just kind of let people know what Executive Order 100 is, and how. Just let us know what it is, and then we'll discuss how it's going to impact everybody.
Good. Thank you for having me, and I hope everybody's having a great day. So, Executive Order 100, or better known as NJ-PACT, is the acronym that the state is using, or REAL, is an executive order that's dealing with climate change. And climate change is a real thing, and nobody's trying to deny that. But for not only coastal communities, but the inland communities as well, are going to have to deal with changes to building height, whether it's a residential or if it's a business. They're going to have to deal with deed restricting their properties to say that they're in a flood zone. So I know for those that live in Ocean City and other coastal communities that have had to deal with base flood elevation after Sandy, particularly in the state of New Jersey. And so dealing with base flood elevation means when you go to either do more than 51% of work to your home to renovate it, or if you're building a new home, you're going to have to raise or elevate your home to a certain amount. And this Executive Order 100 is causing properties to have to elevate an additional 5 feet from what it already is. And that's because they're concerned with raising of tide waters and wave action in the state. And they're preparing for a 75-year storm, which is a 17% chance of happening, according to anybody that's doing any type of climate adjustments or concerning about flooding. So with this, starting in 2025, probably or maybe around in June or July, possibly even August, anybody that's doing any type of construction is going to have to raise their house an additional 5 feet. And our concerns are for a lot of different reasons. Is one, particularly here in Cape May County, we have a high senior population. So, and also we have a lot of people that have disabilities. And anybody that has a disability may need a lift or elevator that's going into their house, or any senior is going to need a lift or elevator that may go into their house. And this puts that elevator or lift below the base flood elevation. So you may not even be able to get an elevator to get into your house. And it deems your first floor pretty much inhabitable at this point in time if you don't lift your house. And I know I had to lift my house and after Sandy. And if any water gets into my house right now, there's going to be a problem on the entire island. So anybody that's familiar with Cape May County, it's on the eastern side of the parkway is going to be affected by this, and some even on the western side of the parkway. So that's even like an upper township or a middle township or a Dennis township or some even lower township, which has some coastal but mostly inland, are going to have to buy flood insurance, and they normally don't have to buy any flood insurance. And any of the Bayshore communities along in Cumberland County, in Salem County, in Gloucester County, and Camden County are going to have to deal with this as well. So the problem mainly is that there was no conversation with any of the communities that are being affected by this. And there's 120 elected officials in this state, and none of them had any conversation with the governor about it. And I'm not trying to say that I know all, but I've never been to Paterson, New Jersey. Well, no, I'm lying. I've been to Paterson, New Jersey, but I'm not going to tell the Paterson mayor how they should dictate or what their architecture should look like when they're building. And the conversation should happen to say, okay, climate change is a real thing. We want to raise properties just to keep you out of flood waters. And that's anybody. So that should go to the municipality, or that should go to an elected official, and not have a governor that's going to sit there and tell you how high your property should be, especially for those that have taken into consideration of raised their properties already, like they have done in Ocean City and other places along in Cape May County. So it started probably in late September, where they had one public hearing in late September, and they had at Ocean County Community College. And you had several people at that community college say that they felt as though nobody should be living in any type of barrier islands. That should be just for the animals. So animals should be living on all barrier islands, and any human should be living inland. So how's that going to work?
That's nuts.
It just makes no sense.
Seems about right.
Yeah. So what are we going to do?
Everybody's
going to
not
sell
a
the
large
property?
tax base here or anything like that. No,
No.
not at all.
Not a lot of
No.
tourism draw to the island either.
Correct.
Yeah.
The billions of dollars that we send to Trenton just coming out of Cape May County. That doesn't include Ocean County or Monmouth County or any other, beach towns and beach communities. They're billions. We're in billions of dollars in Cape May County. So what are they going to do with that revenue that they're not going to longer receive in this state? So we're going to have to raise taxes even more than what they are now. We have the highest tax rate in any of the 50 other states. 49 other states, excuse me. So are we just going to raise taxes to recoup that money? What are we going to do with all these homes? Are we just going to let them go to the wildlife? That just doesn't make any sense to me.
It doesn't make any sense. So to clarify a point that you made earlier when you said that you have to, if you do more than 51% renovation on based on the value of your home, you have to come to current standards. That's not just flood elevation, but that's electric and plumbing and all that kind of
Correct.
stuff. But just to clarify, everyone's tax bill is separated between a building value and a land value. And what we're talking about is the building value, not the total value or not the land value, but 50% of the building value. And in most properties on the islands, the value of your building represents, I don't know an exact percentage, but it might be 20 or 30% of your entire tax bill. So that
Correct.
number, your building value, is very low. So in today's world, going over that 51% threshold is extremely easy if you're doing a renovation, right? So that puts everybody almost that's doing a renovation into that. You're going to have to raise your house. And when you say 5 feet, so after Sandy, Ocean City went from 10 to 12 feet base flood elevation. Adding another 5 feet, that's putting the lowest living level at a base flood elevation of 17 feet. Now,
correct. And that doesn't even include the FEMA maps. The FEMA maps aren't done yet. And the national FEMA maps are supposed to come out next year. So that doesn't even include that.
So now, even if you raised, like you said, you raised your house after Sandy, you would have to technically raise your house another 5 feet.
Correct. If I were to do any type of renovation or anything like that to my house, I would have to raise it an additional 5 feet.
So, Antwan, let me ask you a question. Let's say that a home was built in 2010. It's 14 years old, and it was built to the then current base flood elevation, which is 10 feet. And currently, base flood elevation is at 12 feet. And if it gets raised to 17 feet, how does that affect that homeowner's flood insurance rating?
And we had McMahon Insurance at the town hall meeting that we had in Ocean City, and we're not sure. We just know that, and we know from history that you're going to have flood insurance if you have any type of mortgage on your home. If you're any loan or you own anything, it's going to go up because you have to be at the state standard or the national standard in order to have insurance. Your mortgage is going to require that you have flood insurance living in a coastal community. So it's going to go up if you don't carry it, or you're going to lose your mortgage.
Right. That was the other point that I had thought of, that our flood insurance rates are going to skyrocket again.
Correct. And luckily for me right now, because I raised my home, my flood insurance is about $200 or $300 a year, which is great. If I didn't, I was looking at about $15,000 to $20,000.
Wow.
Well, you also have the other, I know you guys are also, I'm pretty sure you guys are also fighting this, the flood insurance premium increase that's constantly going on of they can increase up to 24% a year for some homeowners. That's happening to me. I just got the, hey, you're going up another 24%. You owe me an extra $2,400 this year. I'm like, why? So.
So it's already increased, and now we're going to aggravate that situation.
Correct. And the DEP and the governor haven't even considered that. They said that's not in their realm to consider. They're worried about what the climate change is going to be and not what your flood insurance is going to be.
Okay.
And the county, to your credit and everyone, you brought in a great consultant, Peter Lomax, very educated guy, very smart guy. He's been dealing with land usage and things with the DEP and how they restrict land usage for his whole career. And in listening to him in the recent meeting, I watched the video of the really great event you guys put on at the Tabernacle last week. I highly encourage anyone, if you have a chance to go do that and you want to look at some real hardcore concrete data that Peter presents, in that you can go to the focus group. I don't know what their official website is. Might be focus.org or focus.net. Families for Ocean City United in Success. This
Yes.
group,
Mhm.
they put it on. You can watch the recording there of the event. And the biggest thing that he talked about, like you said, we're not denying climate change. We're not saying there's no such thing as climate change. Is that when Rutgers did this study, they picked this date of 2100, so 75 years from now, and they're basing everything off of this 75-year prediction and what it could be in 75 years, and making you build out to what they think could happen 75 years from now, as opposed to what Peter said. I thought made a lot of sense. Like, why not build out to what you think 10 or 20 years from now is going to be? Because in a
Correct.
short town, I mean, Drew and I were talking about this before you came on. You can't go 2 lots in Drew's neighborhood without there being a porta potty that smells like roses because it's the garden, and brand new construction, everywhere you go. So, like, in a short town, you're not having structures that sit here for 75, 100 years. You have structures that sit here for 20, 30 years at best before they
Correct.
come in and there's some kind of redevelopment. So to hold them to a 75-year standard of what you think could happen, and like you said, there's only a 17% chance that it's going to get this high. I think 50% they said was 3 feet.
Yes.
So in that chart, it's kind of a little it just seems like it doesn't make sense. Like, why are
No,
you?
it's ridiculous.
Well, you said it, not me. I was trying
Yes,
to be a
it's
little bit.
ridiculous.
Yeah, like, why are you holding people to a 75-year standard when your house may only sit for 10, 20 years max before someone's going to come in and tear it down?
Well, and what's equally ridiculous, as you said before, Antwan, is that just like with the juvenile justice system reform that the governor brought us, that was a total disaster.
Correct.
He's presenting this legislation based on a study with no conversation with the legislatures and no conversation with experts like Peter Lomax, right?
Or even the municipalities. So you have the League of Municipalities, which is an organization that's formed to help the municipalities in every county. They're against it. You have the Association of Counties. They're against it. You have builders that are against it. You have realtors that are against it. You have just residents that are against it. How about let's just have a conversation? How about you, as the administration, go to each county and each county seat and talk to them and say, look, this is what we're thinking about as far as climate change. How can we work together? And that's what a legislature is supposed to do. We're not supposed to be dictators. We're supposed to be in this together as a unit, as citizens, and make everything better. One person cannot help climate change by himself. We all have to do it together, and we're not doing this together. And he's a lame duck governor, and he's not caring about anything. And the DEP commissioner doesn't care as well.
And you made an interesting point too. FEMA is in the process, the Federal Emergency Management Association is in the process of redoing the maps here in the state of New Jersey and along the coast. So, if we're really looking at climate change, why are we not considering them? Because ultimately, unfortunately, when things do happen, they're the guys that are coming to help us, or, depending on who they're helping that week,
Right.
because, they're helping a lot of people right now.
And why not wait for those maps to put
Correct.
anything new into place?
And allow the municipalities to work that way. Even in Ocean City, we're based on +3. So we've gone above what the recommendation was supposed to be here in Ocean City. And that's what we did based on what the professionals thought, and dealing with the government here, the mayor and the council came to that conclusion along with the planning board, and they're professionals. So let's do it that way, as opposed to assuming that in Upper Township, and for those that have been to Upper Township that have never gotten water, they're now going to all of a sudden get water and have to raise their house. I mean, there's no justifiable reason for that.
100 years from now, that's going to happen.
Correct.
Maybe.
Maybe.
There's a
100
17% chance, maybe 100 years from now,
Yes.
you'll get that.
Yes. And now, as far as your kids, here in Cape May County, particularly in Ocean City, a lot of families leave their houses to their kids, and they don't necessarily sell them, but they leave them to their children. Now, if you were to leave your house to your child, now that child is going to have to deed restrict that house and then raise that house. It makes no sense.
Makes no sense. So, Antwan, what's your message to Joe Schmo like me? Like, what can we do, if anything?
There's several. Well, one is send a letter to the governor. If you go to either my Facebook page or Senator Testa's Facebook page or Assemblyman Simonson's Facebook page, or even the County of Cape May's Facebook page and Ocean City's Facebook page, they have a QR code on that page. You sign onto that QR code, and that letter goes up to the governor, to the legislature, and to the DEP commissioner, and let them know. And we're not asking them to stop this. We're asking them to put a pause to it, and let's have a conversation with the legislature and with the municipalities to figure out what we can do to combat anything that's going on with climate change. That's number one. Number two is that if they're not going to listen, next year is election year for governor. Anybody that's coming down here and asking for our vote needs to understand that we're not happy with what's going on here, and they're going to have to deal with this executive order. And how are they going to deal with it? And that's the second part. And so we need to do this together as a community and to fight this, because this is going to change our way of life. It's going to cost us billions of dollars, and it's going to change how we get into our homes. If you're disabled, and anybody that knows, there has to be setbacks, and and if you're in a wheelchair, how are you going to get up that ramp to go into your house? How many stairs are you going to have to climb up to get into your house? So it's not good. So we just need to work together and fight this, and force the governor and the DEP to come down and sit down and have a conversation with us all.
And to that point, I was thinking about this. If you need an ADA compliant access, right?
Yes.
Let's call it to a business, not even a residence.
To a business, correct.
To a business. Look at Asbury Avenue, for instance. You have to. It's a 4-foot run. My understanding is a 4-foot run for every inch rise. I think that's accurate. So 5 feet, where are you coming up with enough space to build an ADA compliant ramp? And even let's look at a residential property. If you're a senior and you sit on a 30 by 90 foot lot, there's no room to put an ADA compliant ramp.
None.
So it's not even doable. It's not feasible with today's setbacks and all that. So it can't happen.
Correct.
And then you made a good point too. Like, you're making everybody raise their houses. Were we going to drive on roads that are underwater? Like,
True.
hopefully we got flying cars by then, because is the city going to have to raise all of their roads 15 feet in the air?
Where's the money? They haven't talked about raising roads, and where's the money coming from to do this? Where's the money coming from to raise your house? And from dealing with Sandy that $30,000 that you were supposed to get from the ICC and your flood insurance when you raised your house was a hill of beans. It meant nothing to raising your property. So where are these people are going to get their money from to raise their houses? And then on top of that, with fair share housing, we have to build a lot of low and moderate income housing in each municipality. How's that going to work? How much is that going to cost? Who's going to foot that bill?
Right.
And from what I remember, Peter saying, and was you, that even school buildings and things of that nature would have to be raised if they wanted to make any kind of substantial improvements to them. So, You know, how are you going to have a high school or an intermediate school or a primary school that's 15 feet in the air?
Right. And even here in Ocean City, we're trying to build a new municipal police station. What is that going to look like?
Right.
Yeah, you're gonna have to. Cops are gonna have to hit the elevator before they come get
Right.
you.
Yeah.
You know, so
It's going to be like the Jetsons. We're all going to have to fly into this building like back in the day.
wow,
It's
wow.
crazy.
It's very
Wow.
disappointing that nobody has had any opportunity to weigh in. And like I said, so it was the one public hearing, and then everything else was online. So and there was no conversation back and forth. They just listened to comment, and then they said that they would respond back in the future.
So
Sounds a lot like the windmills and what they did with
yeah,
the public
it
comment
does.
on the
Exactly like the windmills.
So
Correct.
we're
But at least with the
talking-
windmills, it did come to the legislature. It got forced down our throats, on a partisan basis. But at least there was conversation about that in the legislature. There's no conversation about this.
So, and we're talking about the what ifs, but this is real. This is moving forward out of the governor's office.
100%. This is going to be acted in 2025. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Wow.
So we're just trying to force them to have conversation, and if that's not going to happen, then there probably will be lawsuits filed.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
Antwan, thank you for leading the charge on this. On behalf,
my pleasure. And it's not just me. It's that our county government is awesome as well. So the county government has been doing a lot, led by Lenny Desiderio and his group. And we've been able to get some legislators on board, and we're going to continue to do that. So it's not just me; it's great citizens and great county government and municipal government.
And I
Lenny's
believe,
all right.
Yes.
I believe the window for public comment ends November 7th.
Yes, they have at least extended that to November 7th because it was supposed to end today, a Sunday. Prior to the election, today was supposed to be the last day of public comment. So who made that rule up? Who thought that out?
Right.
It's obviously they're not thinking this through. So November 7th is now is the date for public comment.
Yeah. So if you haven't done so already, visit Assemblyman McClellan's page, visit the county Facebook page, visit the Ocean City Facebook page, send your letter out, let your voice be heard, let them know.
I'm going to copy that QR code and put it on our social media also.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let legislation know, hey, listen, let's just have a conversation. We're not asking you to stop. We're not asking you to, say, hey, we're not saying this is a bad idea. We're just saying we need to talk about it. So
it hasn't been thought through thoroughly.
Yeah.
It hasn't been vetted.
Yeah. Let's make sure that, like you said, Assemblyman McClellan, I'm not going to go to Paterson, New Jersey and tell you how to build your houses and what, your building code should be. Don't come down here and tell me what mine should be. Or if you want to have some kind of regulation, let's at least just talk about it first.
Right.
So, anywhere else, any other, I had a question. My wife had a question, actually. I better ask this question to promote family harmony, as Drew would say.
So this may be a smart question, Antwan.
Yes.
It is a very smart question. What does this mean for someone, let's say, who's going to sell their house, here after 2025? What would it mean for them?
So for selling the house, it's not going to be a big deal. The person that's buying the house is going to be the person that A, is going to have to be forced to elevate that house, and B, be forced to deed restrict that house. So there's going to be, when you're filling that paperwork out, that deed restriction is going to say that you're in a flood zone. And anybody that's going to buy that house in the future is going to deal with that deed restriction. And that's a business as well. Even with the businesses, like say on Asbury Avenue, those businesses are going to have to post a sign to say that they're in a flood zone, along with the deed restriction.
Wow. So what does that mean for, I'm not a realtor or anything like that. Drew, this might be your expertise. If I'm looking in Cape May County to buy a house and I know that I'm going to have to raise it and deed restrict it, what does that mean for, the potential sale value of that house?
Well, it's going to negatively affect it for sure. There's no question about it. I don't see the deed restriction as a super negative. I see the elevation being the issue.
Elevation is going to be a major issue, and it's going to cost more money. Obviously, just think about, what's that changes that, possibly $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 house. You're going to add to that, and somebody's maybe not going to be able to afford that.
And not only that, but if you're buying let's say you're an investor buying which a lot of home buyers at the Jersey Shore really start out as investors, right? They buy the property and they rent it to afford it, and then hopefully for them at some point in time they turn it into a second home. So you're buying an investment property that you have to raise, which is going to cost you $150,000, right? How does that affect your ability to purchase? How does that affect your mortgage, right? And your ability to borrow on the home? And then how long are you put out of business in terms of getting that rental income to afford the payments to begin with? So, if I don't know a number, I'll throw a number out. Let's say that 25% of home buyers on any of these barrier islands start as investors. Now you're taking, so in this case, you're probably going to eliminate most, if not all, of that 25% from the marketplace. You're just eliminating 25% of your potential buyers. There's no question that'll negatively affect property values.
Yeah. And I mean, you have to also look too. We're just talking about the Barrier Island. Assemblyman McClellan was talking about this going all the way out into Upper Township,
right?
Going out into Dennis Township, where you don't have homes, in the seven figures like you do here, but still, like, where do you put families? Well, how is this going to affect families in Cape May County? Like, if I didn't buy my house almost 10 years ago, I wouldn't be living in Ocean City. No way.
Right.
So, and I got to raise my house. I'm one of these structures that might actually make it to 100 years old. So, it definitely won't be around in 2100. I'll tell you that much. But we'll see.
Drew might be around in 2100.
Thanks for this smart question, Corinne. Appreciate it.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Assemblyman McClellan, we really appreciate your time this morning. We'll get this out Sunday. We'll get this out first thing tomorrow, Monday morning, so people can check it out, have some time to make that public comment and do some research on their own. And fingers crossed this
and write letters to the governor.
Yeah. Fingers crossed this gets the attention that it deserves. Windmills was a little more in your face, so to speak. This is going to be very much in your pocket and very much your way of life. So not just an eyesore, a much bigger headache.
Much bigger impact, for sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
thank you, gentlemen, for having me. It was great to sit with you guys this morning, and a professional. And then we have Drew, but we deal with that.
You see what I'm working with here? You see what I'm working with? I try.
Yeah.
But we will see.
Antwan, thank you, sir. Appreciate your time.
I appreciate it, guys. You guys have a great the rest of your weekend. I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
You too. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Man, very happy we have a gentleman like, Assemblyman McClellan out there fighting for us, sticking up for us.
100%. 100%. Great guy, Ocean City guy.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the one thing that he said that really stuck out to me was, this is happening. That is scary to me.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to fearmonger or anything here. If you're a resident of Ocean City, from what I saw in Peter Lomax's diagram, it's going to affect 86% of the homes here in Ocean City. Ironically, Drew, guess where it won't affect?
The gardens?
Yeah, I shit you not, Drew. There's a map and it's all blue, and then like the gardens is not blue.
Well, so regardless of that, it's going to affect.
Oh yeah, it's still going to affect. It'll affect everybody. Like as far as like the
direct impact of
direct impact, but gardens, it might actually have a positive effect on you guys. Somehow your property rates might go, your prices might go up more because people are going to have to do less, to purchase the home there. It doesn't matter though, because ultimately, in the short term, yeah. In the long term, though, how are you going to raise the boardwalk 5 feet? How are people going to get up on the boardwalk? You're going to raise the music
with ADA compliant ramps that start back at Asbury Avenue, right?
Yeah, like what are you going to do? How the music pier? You're going to raise the music pier?
It's not the impacts. Obviously, we're not really looked into, and again, the same mistake as with the juvenile justice system. He put this legislation into play without
executive order.
Yeah, without talking to people, and that's how you debug these things, and that obviously wasn't done here.
Well, fingers crossed we can, like Assemblyman McClellan said, let's just put this on pause for a minute. Let's figure out what we're going to do. And if we can't, whoever's coming down here in November or next year asking for our votes, that needs to be the first question out of everyone's mouth. What are you doing about Executive Order 100?
Yep.
What are you doing about it? How are you fixing it? Because if like you said, it's going to happen, then we're going to either need to figure out how to get rid of it or how to amend it or adjust it to not completely
devastate the islands.
You said it. You took the words right out of my mouth. So, yeah. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Like Drew said, the QR codes will be there on our social media for you to follow and send that letter. If you can't go through us, go through Ocean City, go through the county, go through Assemblyman McClellan, all easy Google searches, scan into that QR code, click that link, send that letter, and let your voice be heard. You have until, I believe it is Thursday the 7th. Yes, you have until Thursday the 7th. So get out there, let your voice be heard. Let the governor know we need to have a conversation. All right. Well, it's Sunday, and Sunday is for the birds. So go birds.
And, go birds.
We will talk to you again soon.
Peace out.